I was kind of like, okay, well, you change the fiber, properly. Still had the faulty routers and it should have failed again.
Not about the same.
This is just 1 minute football.
Well, they're going to, we're going to do some tests. Although you guys can play first.
That's the way to do it. Somebody just pulled out and got it.
Thanks for coming. I'll give you, as we do, the players of the week. On defense, Jonathan Cooper, Devon Hamilton, Draymond Jones, Pete Werner, and Jordan Fuller. And the player of the game was Tup Borland. On offense, receivers were outstanding. At 6 guys, grade champions. Paris, 9 catches for 142 yards. Johnny had 5 catches, 74 yards. Terry, 4 catches, 60 yards. KJ Hill, 4 catches. Ben Victor just keeps coming on, had just a great catch. And Austin Mack had 5 catches, 50 yards. Tight ends both graded champion, Rashad Berry and Luke Farrell. And player of the game was our quarterback, who had a really good day, 502 total yards, Dwayne Haskins. Special teams, we didn't decide, it just wasn't, had 2 punts. They fair caught every kickoff we had. Kickoff return was non-factor, so we went without a special team, not because they did not give good effort, just to do it one. So comments about the game coming up. Best thing about 6-0, a chance to go 7-0 against a team that has a top 20 defense. They're young on offense, and it's just great to be back home, and I'll answer your questions.
Front row middle, Dave.
Urban, halfway through the regular season, how do you feel about your offensive line? What do you like about the offensive line? What needs to improve with the offensive line?
We had 5 champions for several weeks right in a row. This week we didn't play particularly well, so we got to get back to, I think protection, they're very good. You know, we got to get back to more balance. We've been saying that, and we're going to work again this week at that.
Brandon Bone, we haven't asked you about him in a while.
He's close.
He is close, okay.
Yeah.
So there's a chance he could come back relatively
There's
soon.
a chance, yeah.
Thank you.
Front row left, Bill.
Urban, as you guys are trying to get some more things going in the run game, has there been any consideration to playing Tate in short yardage or in the red zone just to bring that element back to the offense?
There has been. There continues to be that conversation.
What goes into that? What's the balance? Because you've talked before about the lack of depth of quarterback too. Just how much is that a factor, and also offensive rhythm when you're bringing in a new guy like that?
Yes. That's all. Those are all the conversations that we have. And, you know, Tate's a very dynamic player, and those are questions we have every 2 hours.
And with the offensive line, you mentioned it. It seems like they're holding up very well against the blitz and pass protection, but when teams are loading up against the run, it's inconsistent. Just what's the difference there when teams are loading up against the run and the pass, and what have you seen out of your guys handling both?
You're very correct about the pressures, you know, and a lot of those are 5-man pressures that Dwayne has time and gets the ball out. The run game, it's a little more complicated than that. It's you know, we got to do a better job as coaches and better job, obviously, with players, just executing the run game. Because it's not always that. It's not always a loaded box. So, once again, that's, you know, the weakness of our team right now is balance on offense and obviously pass defense.
Second row left, Ari.
Urban, you've been back for a few weeks since the tough month that you had. I was wondering, how has it been as a recruiter?
Great.
I can imagine you always talk about being on top of it, making calls every day. You know, it's always changing. I mean, what was it like to have an absence like that and to come back? Can you just kind of take me through what it was kind of like for you?
All due respect, I like to just move forward, and it's been great. You know, we're working our tails off recruiting. We had a big visit weekend this weekend. The team's playing very well, so recruiting's going very good.
Front far right over here, Clay.
Pardon me for being nosy, but the headache episode on Saturday, and it looked like to me you had a similar situation come at Penn State, and seems they come and they go quickly. Is it an issue, Coach?
Well, I've been dealing with that cyst for many years, and we had that surgery several years ago, and when it does take place, it's just, they give me some medicine, and I feel fine now, and just something I got to monitor.
Front row right, Austin.
Herman, I think it was a couple of years ago you said when there were things going wrong on defense that you would get more involved, trying to find out what the solutions could be. Are you at that point now? Are you getting in the mix with what's happening with those breakdowns?
I have conversations. You know, I have so much confidence in the people doing it that we're going to get that fixed.
Has there been a common theme that you've seen with those when those plays get loose?
Yeah, there is, and I don't want to get into too much detail other than, it's a variety of things, but, getting second level, when someone gets a second level, getting them on the ground, and then some coverage issues we've had.
Those guys, the starters that left the game on Saturday, Cooper and Harrison, do you have any injury update with those?
Much better today. We'll know more probably later today or tomorrow, but much better.
Third row left, Dan.
Urban being 6 games into the regular season now, kind of at the halfway point, what's kind of impressed you most about this team so far, and what do you see as areas that maybe haven't quite lived up to your expectations?
Well, we've overcome some significant injuries. Most notable was Nick Bosa. And we're still finding ways to win games, and just really good people on this team. We go out to practice, and guys want to get better. So it's a good group to coach, good people, and guys work really hard.
Front row right, Bill.
Yeah, just another question about the defense. I mean, we are 6 games into it. At this point of the season, I'm sure you would like to be further along in terms of fixing those problems. Do you think that they are kind of systemic problems? I mean, when you look at them, do you think, okay, this is just one guy out of place, or do you think there's something serious going on here?
Well, you look at the last half of the game, they held them to 100 yards against Indiana, second half, and then also created a couple turnovers, stopped them on 4th down. So there's a lot of positives. What happens on the negative are interference calls or jump balls type things. We look at everything, overanalyze everything, so it's not as simple as this. It's a variety of things, but we tried to build on positives, and the positives are that the second half, they played outstanding. Against Penn State, we gave up some yards, but it was 14-13 going into the 4th quarter. So there are some positives.
And about the pass interference things, I know the philosophy is that we've been told by coaches and players that if you're right on the guy, then you look for the ball. If you're not, if they've got a step or more on you, then you try to swap through their arms. Can you just kind of explain that philosophy and whether you think that's working well enough?
That's a pretty that's a philosophical approach that most people who play press coverage, that's the idea. And those are pump and run coverage. Press coverage is a very hard skill. The reason we do it, we want to challenge every throw. And we've had some excellent corners. I believe we have excellent corners now. It's a skill that requires an incredible amount of work. And when you're good, it's great. I mean, press coverage where you disrupt passes constantly. But what you just said is true, and that takes a lot of work. It's obviously something we believe in, and we will continue to believe in as long as we can. But that's a skill set that's very difficult that we ask them to do, and we just got to continue to work you better. Because it's the risk-reward on that. Once you get great at that you're playing great defense now.
Far left, Lori.
Coach, I hope this isn't a stupid question because I know what the math is, but are you right now as comfortable or maybe even more comfortable on 3rd and 7 as you are 3rd and 1?
That's not I'm being respectful here. Did you say it's a stupid question? That's not a stupid question at all. It's a great question. 3rd and 1's tough right now. When they, that's something where That's another weakness. So our weakness right now is balance on offense and the short yardage. We had a couple close ones Saturday, and there's a time you're going to have to throw it, and we have, but there might be more times to throw that. 3rd and 7, I haven't done that. I might go look at that right when we leave here, but he's a very accurate guy, and we have some really good receivers. So to answer your question, that's not that far off right now. It used to be when the dual threat stuff, I don't want to say it was automatic, but it was pretty good. So that's a great question.
Front row right, Tim?
Yeah, I was going to follow up with that, Urban. You look at Dwayne Haskins Jr., he appears to be a prototype, almost pocket kind of passer kind of guy. Would that lead you down the road to getting him under center sometimes for those kind of situations? I mean,
It doesn't really give you anything.
Yeah.
Maybe quarterback sneak, but it doesn't, whether you're a shotgun, you're still they don't change their defense. The whole idea being is that when you take that quarterback position and it's a handoff player, they can plus you by 2. Does that make sense in those situations?
Yeah.
And that's what's happening right now. And with that kind of player, which we've had before, is that the answer is you have to throw it a little bit more often on those short yardage situations. And I think we had one last week where we were short yardage and we threw a little out cut and got the first down. So we just got to be willing to do that.
no, that's the thinking, yeah. Minnesota, they started out pretty good.
Very good.
Yeah.
Top 20
weeks,
defense.
Yeah, last 2 weeks, though, they've had a tough time defensively, it looks like. But what just stands out about them?
Their defense is outstanding. They're not a big pressure team, but they got a great pass rusher, number 45, excellent player. And they had a tough injury to one of the best players in the conference. But their defense is outstanding.
And they've got that freshman quarterback. Have you been able to watch video
Not yet.
of him and stuff?
Not yet.
Yeah. And last thing, have you contemplating having whatever you want to call it, another procedure with your cyst, or can you get by now with what you're doing?
I'll get by with what we're doing.
Yeah.
And final set of questions, front row right, Austin?
Urban, you've talked so much about the wide receivers and the elite level they're playing at. How has their position coach there, the new one, Brian Hartline, handled that job?
He's been great. He's learning on the run still, doing some great things, though. And, one thing about our job, it's very evaluation friendly, and they're playing very well.
You don't have to make a decision right now, I guess, but has he done enough to have that interim tag taken off? I mean, could he be a full-time?
Oh, he sure could.
Great. Coach, thank you very much.
Thanks, guys.